So we're going to build this little application here, which is, it's just using custom cells to build the Ninja Gold game, right? Pretty straightforward. Total gold on top, different cells with different values. In the casino, when you click on it, it's plus or minus 10% of the total, right? So, before we start here, let's kind of like talk through what we need to do, right? So, obviously we're going to have a table view here. We're going to have to build some custom cells, right? We're going to have different logic happen depending on which cell that we press, right? So that kind of makes me think that, okay, maybe that each cell is an object. Like each cell has the data for each cell is an object, like a building object, right? So the building object, there's an array of building objects, and there's 4 of them. And one is house, another one is farm, gold, casino. And building objects will have corresponding properties. So name, obviously, right? Image, maybe it'll have a total count, a click count for each, what that will start out as 0. And we're going to make each cell have its own model, which is that object that we make. All right, so in this demo, I'm going to show you guys how to make a custom class. And I'm going to show you guys how to make a custom cell using MVC so that the cell itself handles all of its own business. And the view controller's job is to pass the cell its data. That's it, right? Because he's the data source. He's not supposed to do anything else except give you the model. And then once the cell gets its data, then it can, depending on what it wants to do, it can set its own properties, right? All right, so I actually have, I took some pictures of my previous projects, and I'm just in case I need it, I'm just gonna put it here so the demo doesn't get interrupted. Okay, I'm gonna put this here, or put it here rather. Okay, so let's get this started. So we're going to create a new project, single view application, Ninja Gold Custom Cell, right? We're not going to use core data, so that's all we need. We're going to save it on my desktop, create a Git repository, replace it. Oh no, did I? Crap. Okay, that was a bad idea. I had another folder in there with all the assets. Crap. Okay, well, whatever. It wasn't that important. So, this is what we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna go to, this is our file. Change that. First things first, we're gonna make this view controller, our main view controller. Here, we're gonna go over and go to the storyboard, set this guy to be the main view controller. Okay. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're just going to create some of the UI elements. So right here, we're going to need, let's say, a label. It's going to be on the very top. Or, yeah, we can have it as a label. We can just have the label be all the way on top over here. Set some basic constraints for it, like that. Give it a height, let's say 80. We're going to make this label centered, and we're going to give it some text. And this is you can set the font to be custom, and I like to use this text. All right, so we're going to make that, let's say, 27 pixels, and we're going to, we'll give it gold. This is some dummy text that we'll give it, like that. That's what it's going to look like. Now, we can set this background color of the label to some background color that we want, that, and then we can make the font color white. So let's do this. There we go. All right. So once we have that, we're going to put in a table view. And this is just a normal view controller. It's not a table view controller. So we're going to put the table view right underneath that label. Just going to have it go all the way down. I'm going to give it some constraints. 0, 0, 0. Make this guy 0. Okay. Option command equal sign. So it looks good. All right. So next thing we got to do, we have to, while we're on this UI storyboard, we're just going to set this guy's data source and the delegate to this view controller. Right? What else we got to do? We got to give the table view a prototype cell. 1. Right? We're going to give it the prototype cell, and then we're going to name the prototype cell my cell, like that. Okay. So now I think we have all we need really to set up the initial kind of layout. Right? This guy, we're going to edit this later on, but for now this is good. So let's see. We're going to let's make some outlets. So we're going to go to main view controller. We're going to create some outlets to these things. This is the label. So over here, I'm going to make an outlet for this guy. This is going to be called the gold label. This table view is going to be called my table view. That's an outlet as well. Okay. Now this view controller is going to be a UI table view delegate, and also a UI table view data source. So now that we have that, it's going to show us this error saying that, hey, you do not conform to these protocols. This is the UI lifecycle. This is going to be my table view methods. Okay, so here I have table view number rows in section. I'm going to make this return 0 for now. Table view cell for row at index path. This guy. And I'm going to set up the basic cell here. So we're going to let cell, or rather, I should probably comment this. So create the cell. So let cell equals to my table view dot dequeue reusable cell with identifier my cell. Okay. So right now it's not downcasted to a specific cell yet. We're going to do that later. All right. So over here we instantiate the cell. We set some data, and then we return the cell, which we will do here. Okay. So now if we hit Command V, everything should be good and we should have everything running. All right, good. So next step, we're going to create our building class, right? So we're going to create a custom class now. And the way you want to do that is, if you're using core data, you can just go into the model, create an entity, give it some properties, and when you build it, you'll have that class available, like with the missions that we did yesterday, right? So that's one way of making a class. But today we're not using core data. We're going to make our own custom class, and sometimes you're going to want to do that because maybe you get some data from an API, right? That's an object, and you want to save that into a custom class that you built, right? So we're going to go over here, Command N for new file. We're just going to make a Swift file, and we're going to call this building, like that. Okay, we're going to create it. Now inside of this guy, we're going to create a class with the name building, and it's going to have some properties, right? So property 1 is going to be our name, that is going to be string. It's also going to have a, let's say, image, or say, yeah, image is fine. Image is going to be a UI image. Oops. Where is that? What is the type of image again?
UI image? Yes.
It's weird.
It's UI image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you UI kit?
Oh, that's a good. Yep. So smart. There we go. I didn't even know that. Okay. So the image is going to be UI image. Let's see, what else do we need here? The count, click count, right? So we're just going to say var count is going to be integer, and we'll set you to be 0, right? So notice that we set this guy, but we didn't set the name of the image, right? So we're going to have to set this when we make the class, when we make a new instance of that class. So we have a init function here. So init, and we're going to take in the name, which is a string, and the image, which is a UI image. So the init function will run when we instantiate a new instance of this guy, and we're going to set self.name equals to name that we pass in, self.image equals to the image that was passed in. Okay, so we have to give it these two things when we create a new instance of the building class, right? And that's really all we need. So no errors, looking good. Now Command B, we always want to build it after we make these things. So now if we go over here in our main view controller, we can create a variable called building array. That's going to be equal to an array of buildings. There we go. Right, and it's green, meaning that we made that. Right? Ah, there we go. Okay. So right now we have an empty array of buildings. Right. Now, what we want to do is fill it up with building objects. Right? So we can do this, in our view.load, we can, populate that with some fixture data, right? So we can say, yeah, we can go building or building array dot append, And in here will be the new building object. Building with the parentheses, and we're going to be passing in a name, which is going to be, the first one is going to be house, right? And then the second thing we need to pass in is the image, which in this case we don't have an image, but we can give it some. We can have some images here. So as long as we can drag some images in here, we're good. Now I had this already set up, but I deleted that folder, so it's no longer in there. But we can have like say house, which I had one yesterday that I was using that was really good. Let's see, farm. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this there's a bunch of icons here. I don't want to pay like $1 for this. So I'm just gonna drag this out over here. I'm gonna call this farm. This can be the house. And I did this yesterday, but we're just gonna redo it. We can say this one's the casino. And we can say that, let's make, we need a cave. So we'll just say that, this is the cave. Cave. Okay. So we have these 4 images. And what we're going to do is we are going to drag these guys into our assets. So we're going to go over here, go to assets. It's going to highlight these guys and drag it over. So boom, I have these 4 images now. So over here, we're going to say UI image, or I'm going to just look it up. So I can't really remember how to image in code. Step 3. There we go. UI image named something. All right. So we're going to say UI image named. This one is going to be farm, or is it farm? Let's see. What was the first one? House, farm, cave, casino. There we go. House. This is house. And I think we have it lowercase for the images. So this guy is going to be lowercase. Right? So we have this command B. Okay. Wait, what? Well, that. There we go. Yeah, good catch. It's amazing that I can see this with such small letters. So we made our house here, right? So we're just gonna do this 4 times, since we have 4 things that we want to import. So it's gonna be house, farm, cave, and casino. So we got farm, cave, casino. There we go. So right now when the view loads, we should have in this array 4 of these objects, right? Okay, so now that we have this made, I think the next step that we need to do is create our custom cell class, right? So we're going to go over Command N again. Next, we're going to call this, let's name it building cell. Okay, we have that. Now, this guy, we're going to need UIKit. We're going to create a class called building cell, like that. And we're going to have you inherit from UI table view cell. Right, so that is your parent. Now, within this custom cell, I'm going to drag in the outlets and actions, right? But before I do that, I'm going to give it a private variable. And that variable name is going to be underscore model, right? And the underscore just tells me that it's a private variable, right? So it's not accessible by outside objects. So we're going to set our model here, right? And this is the model, meaning the data for this specific cell. Now, it has a private variable, but right now, we need to give it some data, right? So we have to make a getter and a setter for this model, right? And the way you do that is with this code here. Set. Oops. It's going to be underscore model equals to new value. This is a keyword, right? And I'll show you how it's used in a minute. So I set this guy, and here I'm going to do stuff after I set it. Now that I have a set, actually, over here we're going to have to put in var model equals to, or that is of type building. And then inside of these parentheses, I have the getter and setter. All right, so I forgot about that part. The reason why you need this is because notice that this is a private variable, this is a public variable. This can be accessed from outside. So this guy can be accessed from outside, and it has a setter and a getter. Get, and whoever calls the get, he will get returned back the underscore model. And this guy is an optional, which I forgot to do, but this type is building, and it's an optional. All right. So this guy is the same type as this one. This one is private variable. This one is a public one. The public one has a getter and a setter. And what this means is that when you write equal signs, this model equals something, that is setting it. When you just do model, you're getting it. So you're getting the data. There's a difference between getting it and setting it, right? And the equal sign tells you that you're setting it, right? So that's what it does. Now, normally in the getter, it's up to you to define some logic if you want to pass back the model or not, because you can totally make it private if some condition is met, right? So just that's how you would use this, right? So now that this is all set up, right? If I pass in and set the model, it'll be saved inside of this private variable, and I'll have access to it within my own building cell class. Then I can do stuff with that data, right? So let's go ahead and go back to the main view controller. And remember when we were making the table view cell over here, we said, hey, we're going to instantiate the cell. Now we're going to downcast it as a building cell, that specific building cell. Now that we've done that, when we type in cell dot, we're going to see all the properties that are public, right? And the public one is the model that we made. The model has a getter and a setter. Now, if we're setting it, we're going to make it equals to something, right? And in this case, we're going to make it equals to the building array of indexPath.row. that specific building object. Okay, so now we have set this in here. When this guy is created, he will get that, and that data that we set after the equal sign will be inside of this new value here. That's a keyword that will be used to say that, hey, when you're setting it, that's the data I'm getting, and you're going to make that equals to the underscore model, which is the private variable now, right? And you can totally withhold it and not return it when you're trying to set it, right? But in this case, we're going to let you get it back. Okay. Any questions on that so far? Good. Okay. Cool. So now that we have this all built out, we're going to go ahead and create some stuff within our custom cell. So inside of my cell, this guy is going to be a building cell, right? So it's specific now. It still has the, this guy still has the identifier my cell, but it is of class building cell. Okay. So now that we know that this is of that specific class, we can go ahead and give it some unique properties. So we're going to give it an image. We're just going to put the image over here, give it some constraints. We're going to say, hey, you're like that, and your aspect ratio is 1:1. So look over here, we're going to say aspect ratio is going to be 1:1. So it's a square, right? Now we made this image, so we're going to go over and say, hey, this is my image view. Connect. There we go. Now, what else do we need? We're going to need this stuff, and then we're going to need this button and this label down here. Okay, so it looks like label is going to be up here. So we can make a label here, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but we're just going to have you like that. So we're going to nail it to the top and the left. That's all we're going to do. And we are going to have, this is going to be, we're going to set this guy depending on what the name is. We're going to set that, right? So this is the, let's say, amount label. Now the image view, this gave me an error, right? And I think the reason is because I named it something that is in conflict with something in the system. So we're going to do that. We're going to make a new one. We're just going to call it my image. Connect. Okay. So we got this guy. We got this guy. It looks like over here we have this another label down here that just says gold. So we're just going to pin it to the bottom. We're just going to say you are named gold. You don't change. So this guy, maybe we can have it, give it some top space, let's say 20, like that. This guy can have some bottom space, maybe like 10 or -10, like that. Okay. Now we're gonna need a button. Button is gonna go right here. Let's say, yeah, that's good. And we're just gonna make you read go. Maybe have you a little bigger. Give it some top constraints, say 5. And then we're gonna have a label down here, which will keep track of the count. Okay, so there, you are going to be pinned to the right side, and this guy's count. And this, we're going to need action. So we're going to drag this button over here. We're going to say handle go button pressed. That's an action. It's a UI button. And this guy is going to be the count label. Okay, so we have all of our labels and actions set up. Now, as soon as I get my model, I have the necessary information to fill these guys up, right? So here I'm gonna make a helper method here. I'm gonna say func do stuff. Here I'm just gonna call this function do stuff. Here I'm gonna set some, I'm gonna give this data information. Now, there are some differences between the different types or the different values that we get, but one thing that we know is we're just going to give it the image that is passed in. So my image equals to, well, my image dot image is equals to the underscore model dot image. That guy is always going to be that, right? Now, I know that my count label, so count label dot text is always going to be equals to click count, and then that is going to be underscore model dot count, right? So that integer. These two will always be constant. Now, depending on what kind of name I get, it's going to show me a different amount, right? So in this case, we're going to say if underscore model dot name is equals to house. We're going to do some stuff to make it the house, right? So in this case, we're going to change the amount label dot text equals to, it's going to be, what is it, +1 to 5. 5, like that. There we go. All right, and then else if this guy is equals to, what is it, farm 10 to 20. This guy is going to be +10 to 20. Then we're just going to copy this part down here. If it is cave, it is 25 to 50. And then else, we know it's a casino, so we got, this guy is going to be plus or minus 10%. Okay, so we dynamically set the data depending on the name of it, right? So right now, if we just went and run this thing, we should be able to see all 4 of our table cells, right? Let's take a look. Ooh, okay. Now, we didn't see this. Why is that? Does anybody know?
Forgot to the number of rows.
Ah, yeah. That's one possibility, definitely. Yep, and also over here, reload the data, just in case. Okay. Oops. Found nil. Ah, see? That needs to be capitalized. If it even mismatches, a single letter, it will not find that within the storyboard. Yay, there we go. So we got our 4 table view cells here. Now we can go over here and say, hey, maybe I want you to be a little wider, just kind of ballpark how wide you want to be, maybe like that. So we can run this again. And boom, we got our 4 different table cells here, right? Now, it says optional 0. That's a problem, right? We want to change that. So we go back to our building cell. We can say model.count for some wrap, because we know it's going to be 0. Oops. Let's go model.count this guy for some wrap. Here we go. Okay. Now over here, main view controller, when the view loads, I want the gold label .text to be equals to gold colon, and then we're going to have a variable here, and we're going to call this gold. Right? So over here on top, we're just going to set a variable called gold equals to 0 to start. Right? So it's going to display 0 in the beginning. Now, the only thing that's left to do is that when we click on go, we want this guy to update. And we also want to update the count. Right? So it's very easy for us to update the count because the count is within our custom cell. So if the go button is pressed, we are just going to say, underscore model dot count plus equals to 1. Right? Now if we run this, let's see if that is working. I think it will work, but it's not updating. Yeah. So well, we're going to do this. Count label.text equals that, so we can see the change. Yeah, there we go. See, it's going up. And each of these cells will handle its own data. Right? Now, in addition to this, the last part of this entire assignment is just to, when I click on one of these, I want this guy to update. Right? And this guy lives on my view controller, but these guys live on my custom cell class. So in order for these cells to communicate with a view controller, you're going to have to make a delegate. Right? You're going to have to make a protocol delegate to handle that. Right? So over here, we're going to make, oops, what did I do? There. So we're going to go Command N, make a new Swift file. We're going to say you are my add gold delegate. Here, you are a protocol. The name is add gold delegate. You are a class. And the requirement is this function that is add to gold, or add to total gold. And I'm going to pass in a number to add, which is integer. Now, integer can be net positive or negative, right? So if it's minus the thing, or you know what? I think a better idea would be to we can, as developers, we can be creative with how we implement our code, right? So really it's kind of like a puzzle. Like there's 4 different types. Obviously the first 3 are just adding a fixed amount, right? So we can use the integer. The 4th is the casino. Now we can have the casino, when the casino is clicked, we can have a random number, 1 and 0, for example. And depending on one or the other, we can send back a 1 or 0 to indicate that casino was clicked and that we're going to plus or minus 10%, right? Now, here, we can do this. So number, casino. Whoa, what is that? It actually put in a little image next to it. Nice. So casino is going to be a Boolean, or I can't do that. Yeah, I think that was the object or something. I'm not sure what that was, but okay. Casino is going to be bool. So for every other building, that is going to be false. We're going to pass in false. For casino, we're going to pass in true, and then the integer will be either 0 or 1, and then either 0 or 1 will take the percentage. Because in order to calculate the percentage, we need the actual total, which lives on the view controller, right? Okay. So going back to our main view controller, this guy is going to be add gold delegate. Now, if we are add gold delegate, we're going to have to implement that function, which is going to be add to total gold. Now, the code here, we're going to do stuff to the amount, right? And we're going to worry about that later. But right now, we're going to go to our custom cell. We are going to say, hey, you have a variable called the add gold delegate. That is going to be of type add gold delegate, optional. So over here, main view controller, we can set that. We can say cell dot add gold delegate equals to self. So we set that relationship. Now that we have this relationship set, we go back to building cell. And when the button is clicked, right, we want to run this method and pass back some data, depending on what we want to pass back. So we're going to say we have a variable called casino. Just name it C. We're going to make that equal to false. We have another variable called A, which is standing for amount, and we're going to set that to 0. All right. Now, depending on one of these 4 cases, we're going to say, hey, if you are the house, we're going to do something. Here, if we are the farm, we're going to do something. This guy, this guy. Now we're going to set this data depending on what we got, right? So if we got the house, we're going to find a random number. So let's go over here, say random number range Swift. This one. So we got, this is the one I'm looking for. So this is going to be, let's say we'll put it outside, okay? And we're going to make this min max variables here. So var min, let's say equals to 0, var max equals to 0. And over here, we're going to say if you're the house, the min is going to be, let's see, 1, and max is 5. If we are the farm, it's going to be 10 to 20. Right? So we got min equals 10, max equals 20. Here we got 25 to 50. Min is 25, max is 50. And then we know it's a casino here, so the min is going to be 0, max is going to be 1. Okay? And also, if it is the casino, we're going to set C equals to true. Otherwise, it remains false. All right, get rid of all these spaces here. We don't want that. All right. So now inside of this guy, we're gonna say, hey, we're going to call the add gold delegate dot add to gold. The number is going to be this with the max and the min in there, right? And the casino is just going to be C. Okay, so we don't need this guy anymore, and that is going to be our code that will run the function. So in the num, we're going to have an integer from the random number with the max and min range. Casino is going to be C, right? So yeah, so we don't need A, it turns out. The amount we don't need, and we're just going to generate the random number within inline within when we call the function. And so that's all we need. That's all we got. So let's take a look at what we get when we get this guy, right? So good debugging practice is always to print out the things that you get back. So we're going to print out the num, and we're going to print out casino, like that. Okay, so we'll stop this, we're going to run it. Let's make this screen over here so we can see what we get. Now if we click on that, we're going to see 2, false, 2, false, 3, false. Good. Here it's going to be range and still false. Here it's going to be range, still false. Here it's going to be true, and it's going to oscillate between 1 and 0, which is not doing it. So it turns out that we have maybe, it's going to have to go from 1 to 2, 0 to 2. So let's run that. All right. Yeah, there we go. So it looks like you have to add 1 to the max in order for it to work, to get that range. So 21 and 6. Okay. So all just, through debugging, we figured that out. So now that everything works according to plan, we can stop this and finish up our code, right? So all we need to do now is go back to the main view controller, close that guy out. So if C, casino, we want to do something. So this, the casino was clicked, or else not casino. Okay, if it's not the casino, all we're going to do is going to get the gold, which is a global variable, and we're going to plus equals to, or gold equals to gold plus equals to the num, right? And that's all we need to do. After we do that, we're going to reset the gold label text, right, down here. Gold plus equal num. There we go. Yeah, so that'll work. So it'll update the total gold. Over here, if it is the casino, then we can say if the num is equals to 1, we're going to add 10%, right? Else, we're going to minus 10%. So here, we're going to say gold is equals to gold plus gold times 0.1. Okay? Or, sometimes in Swift, you have to create these things like, let's say add equals to gold times 0.1, then gold equals to, or gold plus equals to add. There we go. Right? We update the gold label. Oops. So it cannot be, can't do that if it's an int. Okay. So we're going to make our gold something else, not an int. Right? That should fix the problem. Now, it'll be like a decimal so that we can have it floor, right? Or what was it? Int, or no, we can't do, well, we'll just do that. We'll just forget about it. We could do this, but for the minus. So over here, it looks like we have some redundant code. So we can just put this let up here. And here, if it's adding, we're plus equals to. Here, we're going to be minus equals to, right? That's the only thing that changes. So we find ways to kind of clean up our code so we can do that. Now, what is this? Double and int. Okay, so we're going to cast the num as a double. There we go. Yeah. Okay, let's run it. Gonna give you some gold, right? Adding on top. Now we're gonna, it's not doing it. Ah, okay, we didn't update the text. So it looks like this text is global as well. Like regardless of what we do, we always want to update the text, right? So stop this, run it. And it should work, but it might give me some crazy decimals, right? So that's, boom. See, got me some crazy decimals there. So maybe we want to floor Swift 3 nearest int. This is pound print L round. Here's int. Yeah, I mean, I guess round would work. So gold, we're gonna say this guy is gonna be round. Okay. There. Yay, no more decimals, right? So we just made our ninjaGold game. Notice nothing happens if I click on the cell, but I have to click on the button for it to actually add. So that is it for custom cells, right?